Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For those tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at Max WYED 94.1 FM and WYEDonline.com, we're glad you all can be with us. Also, it's joining us on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. Going to bring in our friends over on IG so they can be part of our chat. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. I'm very excited about this next guest. Had a chance to get an advanced copy of her book that's out this week. You guys are going to really love this. We're excited to welcome El Michelle Smith to our broadcast today. You guys know her as a leadership coach. She's a speaker, best-selling author. Her new book is here on Amazon, and it's called Call and Response, 10 Leadership Lessons from the Black Church. We're going to talk to El Michelle not only about the writing of the book, but also what it's been like for her to share this great message about not only how we can be able to use the skills that we're able to get in our faith to be able to not only be successful in life, but also remind people of what's possible. If you guys are not following El Michelle, we'll let you guys know how to do that as well. But El, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on, Cyrus. I'm excited to have this conversation.
I'm excited about it as well. I'm going to type you guys in a welcome message over there on Amazon. You guys will see the book both in print as well as a Kindle edition. The book has already been getting a lot of praise, and I can see why, El, because what I love about this book is it talks about things, and you and I were just briefly talking about this, about a lot of times those of us who've been able to find success, especially in our fields, where that beginning came from. And a lot of times people think about education, but you take it all the way back to faith in the church. What has it been like for you to be able to make that connection?
Surreal. And it took a long time as well because I did not want to just have a hunch and
Hmm.
write on a hunch.
Yeah.
I also didn't just want to be anecdotal and just write about my experience, which is very valid, or even the experience of others, which is very valid. But bringing in the science, the applied science, gave me the opportunity to speak a language that professionals speak. You speak it in corporate America when it comes to leadership theory, and the broader audience that may not be members of churches or even Christian. They may be
Hmm.
of other faiths. So
Yeah.
that science is really the key translator to get this leadership theory across.
And Elle, I have to say, before I was introduced to this book, I had not been able to really get to know about you. But in reading this book, we get, I think, a better glimpse as to how Elle Michelle Smith became who she is. And you even mentioned one thing, and I could relate to this because I was told the same thing.
Yeah.
That you wrote that your mother said to you that she had been also told, it's not just about who you are, it's whose you are
Whose
that
you
matters.
are.
How was that for you to reflect on, L, and to think about as you went through your life both personally and professionally?
Well, that's in the chapter. I was listening to the audiobook this morning. If you haven't listened, you really should, because a lot of the inflections and even the storytelling that's there, it's written, but it comes to life in my voice. And when I'm
Mhm.
talking about my mom, you can hear the love and what she's saying. But we were talking about speaking and storytelling, and a part of that is in chapter 3. We are talking about it's not just about the audible speaking, but it's the entire presence in the
Yeah.
entire package. In fact, I speak with Xavier Williams, who is the CEO of NWS Wireless, formerly of AT&T, a colleague of mine, and he's saying that not only was it the way he wore his suits and the way he comported himself, it was also about wearing the Williams name. That's his last name,
Mhm.
Williams, and
Mhm.
being a part of that family. And whenever he stood up, he represented not just his family, but he also represented his faith. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what my mom was saying. Whenever you go into a place, whether you're at home or away, remember who you are and whose you are. And, even that right there, if you took the religion out of it, she was like, remember your values.
Yeah.
Remember
Exactly.
where you came from. Remember what you represent. And that's important because it really underscores the importance of identity and understanding who at the core that you actually are. And some of us haven't done that work. And when you have done that work, it becomes a little bit easier to say, oh, that's my North Star.
Yeah. Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit more because I think that really becomes clear throughout the book, especially when you get into creativity and the
Mhm.
church. I love the way you make that connection. But I think to the point you just made, even if you take the aspect of faith out of it, right, that a lot of times we think we have to change who we are to get
Mm.
where we want to get to and to be the person. And what you really outline in this book, Call and Response, is that we cannot be the best of ourselves without bringing the best of who we really are to the forefront. When did that really click for you professionally? That really your key, even as you have talked about, even in talking about this book, because I've been kind of following you along this journey. When people would say, how did you get to do what you're doing? What has it been like for you to embrace the fact of how this all began for you?
If you look at my career trajectory, it tells a story. I spent about 10 years, about a decade running a business before I started running this business, went back into corporate America. Excuse me. So that time that I spent as an entrepreneur and the CEO of my strategic comms company really allowed me to stretch my legs and get used to being in my skin because I was the brand. And if I showed up, I represented, again, not just my family, but I represented my business. And I had payroll and I represented the people that were in my company. So I understood what it felt like to be 100% me and not worry about how that reflected on another brand. So when I took that into the next company or even AT&T, it became interesting because I had to balance. I said, okay, how much of me can I actually be? And I tell a story in my first book, No Thanks, about how I was making the decision on whether or not to wear a nose ring at this Fortune 10. And of course, your clothes don't make you who you are, but they are an expression of who you are. And you can do these things. And in corporate, it may be an or it could be embraced. But here I am at this fairly conservative, Fortune 10 company. We were doing some, pretty out of the box things once my program started going. But I went around and I asked people, what are the rules? Was there a handbook? Can you wear these? And the insight that I got was, if you are doing the job excellently and you are, you're bringing the business, right? And they can count on you. You can do things like that and people will overlook it. They might even embrace it because it becomes part of you. In that book, No Thanks, I go on to say, your excellence is your passport to authenticity. And what you'll find in this book, these leaders have made it to such an apex in their careers. They can be who they are. And they didn't always start out that way. If you followed Cent Marshall's story, and she tells some of that in her book, she really grappled when she was young about showing up with who she was entirely. And eventually she learned that she could stretch that and be who she was, and that she was so excellent in what she was doing. That was what her superiors wanted too. Carla Harris from Morgan Stanley. This lady does gospel concerts on the side. Now you don't really see that. You're either corporate and you're in this little box. You're wearing your little suits. You're walking and talking like the body does. Corporate means one body. So you really do become a part of that body. This lady said, no, bump that. I'm a singer. I do this and I do this too. And what are you going to say about it? You know what? They've embraced it. Why? Because Carla Harris is, excuse my French, a badass at work.
And I think that is the other side of this, Elle, and that's what I love about the way that the book kind of is outlined as you're laying out, these lessons, is that it really is about not trying to be anyone else but you, and realize that what you have is the reason why you're there. You give one example. Let me see what I had made a note of this when I was reading it.
I love it that you got stickies all in it. Somebody wrote me and said, I'm marking it. Is that okay? I was like, it is a workbook. It doesn't look like one. It's beautiful, but please mark it up.
You talk about creativity taps into intuition, but you say this, and I want to read this for our audience, Elle. You say this about leadership. You have to take the people where they need to go, even if no one else sees it coming. You also have to take risks, do things you've never done before, stretch yourself, and have the confidence to make it happen to the best of your ability. And I love the fact that because the example you gave, and our audience will have to read it to see what you did may seem like a small thing, but you then went on to have someone like Felicia really recognize what you did and bringing your creativity there. And that is what I think is so great about this. Talk to us about that if you don't mind, because I think a lot of times we think about leadership in interesting ways. We think once we get to a certain place that it really is about, okay, if I want to stay here, I have to make sure I'm really towing the line and doing what others expect. When did you realize that really the key to real leadership is being able to bring not only the best of yourself to it, but also think about those that you're trying to take along with you?
Well, it's a trap that we fall into as leaders, thinking that everything needs to be perfect and well made, and every line, every T crossed and every I dotted, when leadership is messy and it's risky. Above all, it's risky. A
Right.
lot of times you don't know what to do going forward, but you have to do some of this trial and error as you're going, or just the way they roll out these iPhones, right? When it first came out, it was not perfect, but they got 1.0 out there. And what they did was they learned from the glitches. People would say, okay, this doesn't work or that doesn't work. And then they'd improve it. And then the next iteration would come out. Here comes 2.0, right? Leadership is the same way. And so in some cases, you feel like you're flying blind, but you have to have the confidence, and your people have to have the confidence in you. Here
Yeah.
comes the trust, because you've walked the walk. You are values aligned. Your word means something. You show up when it's time to show up. You support them when they need the support. You're supposed to be taking the bullets more than they are.
Yeah.
And they need to be able to see that you stood in front of those bullets and you took some bullets, and they're okay and they're safe. Even if the bullets were actually meant for them, right? That's when trust comes to bear. And so when you see somebody like, let's say D. Keith Pegues, he's at the very beginning of the book. He's a 3-time CMO, and he has his own consultancy now. He's led people all over the place. When they see that this man is purpose driven and he's walking his talk, you better believe they're going to follow him.
Right.
So if you don't have any clue why you're on this earth and what you're supposed to be doing, it shows. And those are the people that aren't the ones that are tapped to be leaders. I have clients sometimes that ask me, I noticed that such and so became the CMO, but she has operations background. Why did that happen? And I have to explain to them, such and so is a leader, and she has proven that she knows how to gather the right people around her who know what she doesn't know, and she can influence them in ways to get the job done. Because at the end of the day, when you're working and trying to make your way through corporate and make it to the C-suite, or even just stay at the level you are and maybe just elevate one level, the thing that they look for in people is the ability to lead the people. It's not always about the technical piece, right? Understanding how the marketing works. Because as you start to elevate, the people that are beneath you really are the SMEs. It is up to you to find out how it all works so that you have enough knowledge to lead these people. But at the end of the day, they need someone who can evoke trust in the people, and the people will follow them, even if the people don't always know where you're headed.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that you outlined that in such a great way. I want to reset real quick, Ellen, say for those who are just tuning in, for our radio audience here in Mississippi at Max WYED 94.1 FM, WYEDonline.com, as well as tuning in on Amazon Live on our simulcast, you all are listening or watching Cyrus Webb Presents. Elle Michelle Smith is our guest today. She's not only a best-selling author, leadership coach, and speaker. Her new book is already an Amazon bestseller. It's called Call and Response, 10 Leadership Lessons from the Black Church. I want to say also hello to you guys over there on IG. Hello to you, Myra Reeves. Also, we have Cammie Johnson PR. Hello to you. The Crazy Kirk Girl. Hello to you. And I see you guys with the hearts over there on YouTube. You guys have any questions or comments for Elle? Put those in the chat. I want to go back to the creativity aspect for a moment, Ellen, ask you about where we find ourselves. There's so much that's in flux right now. We already see it as 2026 is coming in. leadership is one of those things we see so much seems to be uncertainty when it comes to the job market. People are wondering about, how they're safe. What role has faith played and creativity played in the way that you're approaching not only leadership now, but also being able to help people be able to find their place when it comes to the profession they want to do, and also being able to be stable in a time that there seems to be so much uncertainty?
First of all, we reframe creativity and innovation in this book as a survival skill.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, when things are scarce, it really is where innovation and creativity comes from. That's where you are pressed to find a way and make a way out of no way. You've heard that before in the Black church. Our grandmothers have done it.
Yeah.
Our grandfathers have done it. When they had absolutely nothing, they had to be creative and find a way to make things work. Now, the neuroscience is very clear on how you become creative and innovative. You must have a calm mind. So, Cyrus, how do you do that when it seems like the world's falling apart? When life is lifing, right? And the world is worlding, society is doing what society does, and you're watching these crazy headlines come through, and then you've got return to office happening. You're burnt out. There's a reason why you're burnt out too. And that's because your mind is so busy, preoccupied with concern that it drains your energy. But getting back to how to get to that calm mind, you have to tap into your happiness triggers. And this is the thing that our Black churches have done so well. You can find almost all 10 of the positive emotions just in the sanctuary alone before you even get to the ministries. You get all of them. And if you can tap into your happiness triggers, they're also peace builders. That's what I call them. You need at least 3. Neuroscience says that you need at least 3 positive emotions to overturn negative mood. You must overturn that negative mood to get to the calm mind. If you get a calm mind, it gives you access to focus. And if you can focus, you can get to insight. Yeah. And if you have insight, guess what's there? The creativity flows. So a lot of us aren't able to be creative under duress because we're under duress. Right. But doesn't that speak very highly of our ancestors that came before that had even less than we do, they didn't have first world problems like we do. They had real problems, but they still made a way out of no way. And that's all innovation is.
I love that. Coach Kenya K, hello to you over there on Facebook. She says, enjoying this conversation. It really is the book is, Elle, I'm not just saying this because we're talking, the way that you outline this, and I think regardless of where people are coming from too, whether individuals are looking for something that's science or evidence-based, it's in here. Also for the faith element and the business element as well. All of this kind of comes together. Again, everyone, Elle Michelle Smith is our guest. The new book is called Call and Response, 10 Leadership Lessons from the Black Church. Again, already an Amazon bestseller here on Amazon. You can get it.
And you know what? You're just telling me that. I'm glad to hear it. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know.
let me check. I think it's number, I think when I checked this morning, it was number 2. It's number 2
Shut up.
In new releases. I'm gonna share my screen for you. Yeah. It's number 2 in.
Oh, that has never happened, y'all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God. I'm gonna take a picture of the screen. Can I?
Yeah, sure. Oh, definitely, of course.
I have been in these media interviews all day yesterday and today. And honestly, I'm not checking because that is not the purpose. It's good to know it's a cherry on top. It means that I'm reaching the people, and that is the goal. Yeah. The goal is to impact as many people as possible with this message. Yeah. To know that they can be these leaders with tools that they already had that they may not have already known about.
Yeah. Chris, hello to you over there on Facebook. Chris says, love this. We'll be picking up a copy. And Melissa says, I love it.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, glad to be able to do it.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Yeah, Elle, thank you so much for the time. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Oh, gee whiz. LMichelleSmith.com. Okay. 2 L's is Michelle with 2 L's. And if you want to know more about Call and Response, go over to the books on the navigation bar. Click on that. It's the first book that's there. That hub has everything. If you want to stock up for your small group or your organization, your team. There are discounted links for you to get bulk book offers, or you can also submit a request for me to speak. So
Love it. Love it.
the book tour is starting today. I'm really excited about that, and I hope to meet many of you in the market.
Awesome. Well, Elle, I really appreciate this. I'm looking forward to our next chat together.
I am too. Call me anytime.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, y'all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye. Well, that